Everyone likes a hero, but everyone loves a villain. And sure, there have been plenty of iconic villains in movies, in books, in real life, but there's nothing quite like a good television baddie. There's just something about watching villainy develop inside the comfort of your own living room that makes it hit just a little different. Now, television as a medium has been around for nearly a century, and over the years we've seen some amazing antagonists. From kings to cannibals, from mobsters to monsters, from killers to Caillou.
I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
There have been plenty of characters you can make a case for as the GOAT TV heel. But I think there's someone frequently overlooked in that conversation. It wasn't a character that viewers loved to hate. It was a character they just hated with every fiber of their being, and yet they couldn't look away. This villain didn't come from Gotham, or Baltimore, or Albuquerque, or Albuquerque, or Albuquerque. Instead, he came from a little place called Orange County.
Welcome to the OC, bitch!
That's right, California, here we come, right back where we started from. California. Sorry, force a habit. It's there beneath those sunny California skies that we meet one of the greatest villains, not just in the history of the OC, but all of television.
Oliver Trask.
Don't worry, we'll come back to that moment in a moment. But first, we should probably talk about the OC as a whole. If you weren't there, I don't know if you can fully grasp just how popular a show it was. The OC was a phenomenon that would make John Travolta jealous. And yes, I did just reference a forgotten supernatural film from the 90s starring John Travolta, but it could have been worse. I could have referenced Michael. The show was the creation of first-time showrunner Josh Schwartz and premiered on Fox in the summer of 2003. The summer debut was a unique move, but there was solid logic behind it. Every October, the Fox network primetime schedule would be taken over by playoff baseball, and so they decided that instead of killing any momentum of the show by starting it and then quickly stopping it, they'd run a batch of episodes in the summer, take a break, and then resume it after the World Series ended. Because of that unique scheduling quirk, it also meant that when the OC's first batch of episodes weren't drawing massive numbers, Fox could just repeat the episodes multiple nights a week. It's not like they had anything else to put on. There wasn't really a clamor for Glutton Bowl 2. The strategy paid off as viewers discovered the show and propelled the OC into the pop culture pantheon. It was a rare show that teenagers, 20-somethings, parents, and critics all watched and enjoyed. It soon became appointment viewing because if you missed a week of the OC, you missed a lot. I've been kind of dreading this part, but in order to fully explain the context of Oliver's villainy, I think I need to try to summarize the OC story so far.
May God have mercy on us all.
The OC is the story of Ryan Atwood, a kid from the wrong side of the tracks who ended up in the affluent Newport Beach when he was adopted by his defense attorney Sandy Cohen and Sandy's wife Kirsten. Ryan quickly developed a friendship with Sandy's nerdy son Seth, and a crush on the sweet but troubled girl next door, Marissa Cooper. He also ran a constant conflict with Marissa's jock boyfriend Luke, who antagonized Ryan whenever he could. After Marissa caught Luke cheating on her during a trip to Mexico, Marissa overdosed on painkillers and was hospitalized. Marissa's mother Julie blamed Ryan for the incident and did everything in her power to keep them separated. You can't fight love, Julie. Marissa's personal issues were exacerbated further by the legal troubles of her father Jimmy, who was exposed for stealing money from his clients. The Coopers' marriage disintegrated and Julie quickly moved on to the wealthy real estate mogul, Caleb Nichols. Caleb just happens to be Kirsten's father, Sandy's father-in-law, and Seth's grandfather. Oh, and he hates Ryan because Ryan got in a fight with Luke and they accidentally burned down one of his properties.
My head is spinning. Yeah.
Ryan and Marissa's romantic relationship blossomed despite various hiccups, including Marissa's friendship with her now ex-boyfriend Luke. That tension disappeared after Ryan and Luke became friends, when Ryan stood up for Luke, when Luke was ostracized by his classmates after they found out Luke's father was secretly gay. Marissa's own parental troubles continued to weigh on her emotionally, and culminated in the Chrismukkah episode, where not only was she caught shoplifting, but her drunken behavior almost got Ryan arrested. At that point, Marissa realized it was time to get help, and she walked into a therapist's office, which is where she met Oliver.
I'm finished.
Yeah, I know, that's a lot. Keep in mind too that in the timeline of the show, everything happened in the span of like maybe 6 months. What's crazy is I skipped a lot of stuff that was irrelevant, like Caleb's girlfriend attempting to seduce Ryan, Seth Cohen's love triangle with Summer and Anna, the time Luke got shot. While it would eventually be its undoing, part of the charm of the OC was that breakneck pace. The show was relentless in its twists and turns, which was great for viewers, but hard on the writers. This was creator Josh Schwartz's first television show, and he has mentioned he kinda wishes he had paced parts of the show better. You can't fully blame him for the sheer amount of storylines though, as the network was asking a lot of them. Due to that previously mentioned summer premiere schedule, Fox chose to order 27 episodes for the first season. That's an insane amount of episodes, and it pushed the cast and crew to their limits. With so many hours to fill, Schwartz felt the pressure to pump out stories, and unfortunately that meant he burned through a ton of ideas. The creative pace got to the point where he realized they had written themselves into a corner and had run out of stories for recurring characters like Luke and Anna. The difficult decision was made to start writing those two off the show, but they still had to fill episodes, and so they had to create new characters. And as a result, the character of Oliver Trask was created. Oliver was envisioned as the anti-Ryan Atwood. Whereas Ryan came from a rough background, Oliver's family was extremely wealthy. Whereas Ryan preferred to solve his problems with force, Oliver preferred to solve his problems with his cunning intellect. Whereas Ryan was played by Ben McKenzie, Oliver was played by Taylor Hanley. Hanley had a few acting credits to his name, but to me he will always be the star of one of my favorite Disney Channel original movies, The Phantom of the Megaplex.
Phantom of the Megaplex strikes again!
Oliver's first couple OC appearances are pretty standard for a teen melodrama. Through his chats with Marissa outside their respective therapist offices, they bond over their problems, including the ones he's having with his totally real girlfriend Natalie. He even invites Marissa to a New Year's party, which ends up with her attending solo after she has a fight with Ryan over his inability to say those three little words.
Buy my book!
Not those words, the words I love you. Marissa and Oliver spend the whole night together commiserating over the relationship troubles, because it turns out Oliver's totally real girlfriend Natalie didn't come to the party either. Oh no. Oliver is clearly interested in Marissa, and looks poised to make his move on her at midnight. But Ryan shows up at the last second to kiss her, and he tells her he loves her. It's an iconic OC ending, and one of the highlights of Marissa and Ryan's relationship. Enjoy it now, because it only goes downhill from here, folks. It's Oliver's third appearance where he finally shares scenes with someone other than Marissa, and let's just say, the vibes, they are off. He monopolizes Marissa's attention, subtly puts down Ryan whenever he can, and pulls a power move with the OC gang by giving them all tickets to see the band ROONEY. Ryan is the only one who doesn't seem thrilled to be hanging out with Oliver so much. Even Luke's having a good time. ROONEY! Ryan's intense distrust of Oliver begins to affect his relationship with Marissa during the episode, as she views Ryan's paranoia as nothing but jealousy. However, Ryan's suspicions that Oliver isn't what he seems are proven correct when he catches Oliver getting arrested for drug possession. Feeling bad for him, Ryan gets Sandy to help him out, while Oliver comes clean to Marissa about his arrest. And the gang gathers back at the Coens, and it feels like it's the end of the Oliver story arc. He's out getting the help he needs, and seems to be grateful to Ryan for helping him out. Hey, maybe this is the start of a new friendship. I mean, if Luke and Ryan can be buddies, oh my god, why is Oliver looking at them from that window? While Creepy Window Oliver isn't an aberration, it's a baseline. As in the next few episodes, Oliver finally verbalizes what Ryan suspected to be true. Oliver wants to try and break up Ryan and Marissa by any means necessary. This starts by inviting them all to his parents' house in Palm Springs to apologize for his behavior at the ROONEY concert. ROONEY! But then leads to him faking another breakup with his totally real girlfriend Natalie, trying to crash into Ryan with a golf cart, pretending to take too many pills to garner sympathy, transferring to their high school so he can be closer to Marissa, manipulating Ryan into punching him, getting Ryan suspended, and ultimately succeeding in his goal to break them up. Nobody believes Ryan when he says that Oliver is bad news, except for his unlikely ally Luke, who's the only other person to suss out that something's off. Oliver's manipulation skills are so strong that even Seth, Ryan's best friend, thinks that Ryan is acting unhinged. It was a frustrating experience for viewers of the show, who just wanted a character to see what seemed so obvious to them, that Oliver wasn't a sad little rich boy, he was a sociopath. People criticized Oliver's actions over the years as being over the top, but Josh Schwartz actually based him on a real person. One of his friends was dating a guy who went so far as to fake cancer just to prevent a breakup, so Schwartz became fascinated with creating a character who would go to such lengths to try and get a girl. Now, before we head into the final Oliver episode, it's as good a time as any to address the reaction to the Oliver character.
Not great, Bob!
People hated Oliver with a passion rarely seen in television fandom. Marissa and Ryan's relationship had just started, and people were furious that it was broken so quickly by such an obvious villain. Oliver was such a left turn for the show that Josh Schwartz had to downplay rumors that Fox forced the character upon them. It may not surprise you to find out that those who are the most vocal in their hatred of Oliver posted about it on message boards, and I'd figure I'd share one or two. Unlike Oliver's girlfriend Natalie, these 2004 message board posts are real. I hate Oliver with a passion. Hate is too weak of a word. I want to torture him and then kill him. I don't like Oliver. I find him very annoying. He needs to die already. I hate Oliver. I really do. Never have I hated a fictional character more. Seriously, if I saw him walking down the street or something, I would go all Crouching Tiger on his pill-popping @ $.
Well, that was offside, wasn't it?
Now, obviously, not everyone felt that strongly, but to the writers of the OC, it certainly felt like they did. The writers and producers of the show have admitted that they were too online at the time, and they were probably overly concerned with the feedback they were seeing on the internet. It seemed to the writing staff that Oliver was a creative flop, but luckily, he was only scheduled for 6 episodes anyways, which meant they had their chance to write him out in style. I haven't really talked about the performance as much as the character, but even the most hardcore haters will praise just how good a performance Taylor Hanley gave as Oliver. And as good as he was in the previous episodes, Oliver's final episode is Hanley's piece de resistance. The episode begins with Oliver basically having won. He succeeded in breaking up Ryan and Marissa, and now he can focus solely on winning her affections. Ryan tries one last Hail Mary to save Marissa by talking to her mother, but it backfires, and sends Marissa to Oliver's penthouse apartment instead. It's actually Luke who finally cracks the case of Oliver when he reveals to Ryan that, are you sitting down for this? Natalie isn't real.
I am shocked. I am shocked. That's what I mean. I am appalled.
Luke tells Ryan just how dangerous Oliver is, but Ryan is powerless to stop him. It's up to Marissa to try to figure it out for herself. Luckily, she finally pieces it all together when she goes to the hotel's front desk and meets the receptionist, Natalie.
I am shocked. I am shocked.
She confronts Oliver with the truth, who fully turns to the dark side and pulls out a gun as she calls Ryan for help. Throughout the show, we've seen glimpses of the darker side of Oliver. And as viewers, we weren't sure if those were just more of his manipulations, but now it's clear just how unwell Oliver actually is. Taylor Hanley absolutely goes for it in those scenes. He was asked about his performance in a 2017 interview with Complex, who explained his mindset during production as, quote, I was in kind of a dark place. At age 19, which was 13 years ago, there was a fear of the unknown. I was stepping into really committing to acting, and there were a lot of unanswered questions and a lot of uncertainty in my life. And so I was able to pull emotionally from what was going on with me into that character. Ryan and Sandy rush over to the hotel, and with the help of security are able to rescue Marissa. Oliver has a full breakdown and threatens to harm himself, but Ryan is able to talk him down, and Oliver is taken away, never to be seen again. The ramifications of the Oliver arc were felt almost immediately, as Ryan and Marissa's relationship fell apart. Ryan felt betrayed by how deeply Marissa distrusted him, and how quickly she was trying to move past it, and led him back into the arms of his ex-girlfriend Teresa, and siring a potential love child, but I don't have time to recap that whole mess. Now, Ryan and Marissa would date and break up several times over the coming seasons, but it was never the same for them. They were never on the same stable ground they were before Oliver showed up. For a lot of people, the end of the Oliver arc was a welcome sight, and one the writers would play with over the years. The OC was a show that loved self-referential humor, and they were quick to add in references to Oliver whenever they could, just to tease the fan base.
The way things have been going, I bet that's Oliver.
I wouldn't have done it any differently. Except maybe Oliver.
Me too.
Those little moments were the writers working through what they thought was the mistake of the Oliver story arc. With hindsight, those involved with the show now view Oliver in a far better light. They realize now the issue wasn't really with the character or his arc, but rather how they did it. In interviews, producer Stephanie Savage has put the blame on how quickly Oliver took over the show. For 6 straight episodes, he dominated everything, which frustrated viewers who were begging for Marissa to see through Oliver's charade. Over the years, Josh Schwartz has gone back and forth on defending the character, before ultimately deciding he wouldn't really change much about it. And Seth Cohen himself, Adam Brody, was a huge fan of the arc, even defending the character on an episode of the Beyond the OC podcast.
I remember Josh saying that he really regretted the Oliver character, which is the first, and him and we've hung out a lot lately, or a bit anyway, but we haven't gone deep on this, so. But I remember him saying he really regretted the Oliver character, because the Oliver was a bad guy in the first, 10 episodes. And I believe he was kept Misha and Ben apart.
Yes.
And because the audience was so pissed off, and they hated him, and he's like, oh God, and I don't know if he still feels this way or not, but at the time and for a few years after, it's just that was the worst mistake. He felt bad. And my feeling is, no, not at all. That's amazing. That's you want them tearing their hair out. That's maybe a high point of the show, period.
He's right, it was the high mark. For all the complaints about the Oliver character, his final 2 appearances were the highest viewed episodes in the entire run of the show. Part of the way Josh Schwartz has made peace with the story was his realization that the online backlash didn't represent everyone. Whereas the adults didn't care for the Oliver story, the younger fan base were fully invested and loved it. I should know, I was one of them. I was totally into the story, and I thought he was a great bad guy. He was disturbed, he was scary, he was smarmy, and he was calculating. There was nothing to love about that guy, other than maybe his hair. God, it looks great. From the moment he saw Marissa Cooper walk into that waiting room, he set forth a Machiavellian plan to win over a girl he had never even seen before. And stuff like that makes him such a compelling villain. And also goes to show you that therapy doesn't work. Now, as 2 decades have gone by and people take a look back at the OC and at Oliver, it's through different lenses. Through a critical reassessment, people are able to look at Oliver. No, they still hate him. They probably hate him more now, actually.
I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider hitting the like button. And if you're interested in more of my stuff, please consider subscribing. And I'm going to vamp for a little bit because, quite honestly, I like watching Oliver get beat up.